こんにちは、タンです。Learn Japanese Through a Story シリーズの最初の動画へようこそ。First, you'll see a simple animation to practice your listening skills. Then the same animation will play again, but this time we will have the Japanese and English subtitles so that you can check if you understood and heard everything correctly. At the same time, I'll explain the vocabulary and grammar used in each line. And finally, I will show a summary table with all the vocabulary and grammar from the animation, including their meanings and jlpt levels. And today's topic is 日本語学校の初日, the first day at Japanese language school. This is actually a conversation that I had with my classmates back then when I first came to the Japanese language school. So the Japanese is in an informal style. Okay, then 行きましょう。ねえ、今日が日本語学校の初日だったけど、クラス分けのテストめっちゃ難しくなかった？
私は N3 クラスに入ったよ。なんとなく文法はわかるけど、浄化が全然できなかった。
私も同じ。違う N3 クラスだったけど、先生がめっちゃ早く話すから、最初の授業ほとんど何もわからなかったよ。
2人とも N3 なの？すごい。私は N4 クラスに入ったけど、正直それでもついていけるか不安すぎて夜寝れなかったんだよ。こっちも同じだよ。ところで、進学クラスの話聞いた？大学に行きたい人のための特別クラスがあるらしいよ。
あ、聞いた。でも半年後に始まるらしくて、それまでは今の jlpt クラスで勉強するしかないって。
そう。そのクラスに入りたいなら N2 以上のレベルが必要って言われたから、私たちがね、それまでに必死で頑張らないと。めっちゃ怖い先生、一人いなかった？文法を教える先生なんだけど。
いた。メガネをかけてて、絶対笑わない先生でしょ？
遅刻したら入れません。
とか、めっちゃ厳しい感じだった。
そう。でも授業の説明はわかりやすかったかも。ちょっと怖いけど、悪い先生ではない気がする。わかる。てか、これから半年、頑張って一緒に生き残ろうね。
もうこうなったらみんなで助け合うしかないね。
In this animation, there are 12 lines in total. For each line, I will explain the vocabulary and grammar that I think you should know.
ねえ、今日が日本語学校の初日だったけど、クラス分けのテストめっちゃ難しくなかった？
初日 means the first day, and you can use this word to describe your first day at either school or work. The kanji sho means the first, and the kanji nichi means day. Then we have this verb wakeru. It means to divide or to separate. So kurasu means class, testo means test, so kurasu wake no testo means the class placement test. Then we have this word mecha. It is mechakucha in short, which means very or super. Next, let's talk about a grammar called negative question. When you say muzukashiku nakatta, it would mean it wasn't hard. But if you say it as a question, like muzukashiku nakatta, it is also a question, but it also implies that you feel that way about something. So in this sentence, the character Tama was not only asking, but he was also showing that he felt the test was difficult, and he was kinda seeking for improvement from his friends Kai and Kata. Next, let's talk about kedo. Maybe we have all learned that this usually means but, and it is usually translated as but. And actually, it is also used to start a new topic or a new conversation many times. In this sentence, we can see that the part right in front of kedo, it was the first day of Japanese school today, does not have the opposite meaning to the part behind kedo. Wasn't that placement test super hard? And by this, we can understand that the kedo here doesn't really mean but. It is to introduce a new topic, to start a new conversation. And the part right in front of kedo, 今日が日本語学校の初日だった. It is maeoki in Japanese, which means introduction. like an introduction before we get into the main point?
うん、私は N3 クラスに入ったよ。なんとなく文法はわかるけど、浄化が全然できなかった。
Let's move to line number 2. なんとなく means somehow, kinda. Like for example, someone asks you, 数学の試験どうだった? How was the math test? If you feel that you are not sure about the result, but you had a feeling that it would be not so bad, you can just say なんとなく, which means kinda good, kinda bad, something in the middle, something in between. When you use the Japanese textbooks, you will see these two words, bunpo and jokai, very often. Bunpo is the grammar session in the textbooks, and jokai is the listening sessions. Actually, jokai is listening and comprehension because the kanji jo means listen, and the kanji kai is comprehension. But sometimes for short, we can totally translate it to listening instead of listening and comprehension. In this second line, again, we have kedo. This time, it literally means but because the part right before it, bunpo wakaru, I understand the grammar, has the opposite meaning to the later part, jokai ga zenzen dekinakatta, I couldn't do the listening at all. Now let's talk about zenzen. When zenzen goes with a negative form, like jokai ga zenzen dekinai, it means not at all. But when it goes with a positive form, it would mean totally or absolutely. For example, when you fall down from the stairs, someone will come and ask, 大丈夫ですか? If you feel fine, you can just say, 全然大丈夫です. I'm totally fine.
私も同じ。違う N3 クラスだったけど、先生がめっちゃ早く話すから、最初の授業ほとんど何もわからなかったよ。
Now let's move to line number 3. We see that both kurasu and jugyo are translated as class. But actually they mean very different things. When you use kurasu, it means the people, the classroom unit. And when you use jugyo, it means the lecture, the lesson, or the contents of the class. If you read the translation, you can totally understand the difference between kurasu and jugyo. Next, we have a word that is very similar to the zenzen dekinai that I introduced to you earlier. While zenzen means none, not at all, absolutely, this hotondo means mostly, most of it, hardly, almost none. So when it goes with the negative form like in this sentence, hotondo nani mo wakaranai, it means I could hardly, I could barely understand anything. The things I understood were almost none. And when it goes with positive form, it would mean most of or mostly. For example, I can say, Ringo o hotondo tabeta. I ate most of the apples. Then we have nanimo. Most of the time, nanimo goes with negative form to mean none or nothing. And you can see that in the translation, nanimo is translated as anything. For example, nanimo nonde nai. I haven't drank anything. Nanimo wakaranai. I don't understand anything.
二人とも N3 なの? すごい。私は N4 クラスに入ったけど、正直それでもついていけるか不安すぎて夜寝れなかったんだよ。
Let's move to line number 4. In this line, we have 二人とも, which I translated to you're both. You can use this when you want to say many people do the same thing. The formula is number of people, or a word that refers to a group of people and then you add tomo. For example, sanin tomo means all of 3 people, or yonin tomo, all of 4 people, or ryoshin tomo, both of my parents. Ryoshin is not a number of people, but it is a word that refers to a group of many people. By many, I mean 2 or more. Next, here are 3 words that you really need to know. Shojiki means to be honest or honest. The kanji sho means right, correct. The kanji jiki means straight or direct. So when we combine them, we have honest. Fuan means worried or anxiety. The kanji fu means not. And the kanji an means peaceful or safety. So when something is not safe, something is not peaceful, we have worried or anxiety. Next, we have ついていく. ついていく means to keep up with something, and we can use noun and then we add adverb に and then we have ついていく for example このクラスについていきたい I want to keep up with this class and then I want to explain why this part is 寝れなかった instead of 寝られなかった when we want to talk about the ability to do something for the ones that we use られる like this 寝られる or 食べられる we can totally remove the ら and make it shorter, and this is actually very common in daily conversation even when you talk in a formal way.
こっちも同じだよ。ところで、進学クラスの話聞いた？大学に行きたい人のための特別クラスがあるらしいよ。
Next, let's move to line number 5. ところで means by the way. 進学 means entering higher education. The kanji shin means to move forward, and the kanji gaku means education to study. So when we combine them, we have entering higher education. The reason why I translated it to university prep was because this conversation took place in a language school. So everyone will likely go to university after graduating from this language school. So based on the context, everyone understands that when you say shingaku, it means that you want to go to university. But if this conversation were at a university, it would mean preparation for graduate school. Then we have rashi, which means they said, it seems that.
あ、聞いた。でも半年後に始まるらしくて、それまでは今の jlpt クラスで勉強するしかないって。
For line number 6, we also have a word that is very similar to rashi, which means they said that, I heard that, and it is te. Just like rashi, we can totally put it at the end of the sentence. And then we have shikanai. Before shikanai, we will put a verb that is in dictionary form. This is a way for you to say there is no choice but to do something. So when we say 今の jlpt クラスで勉強するしかない it means we have no choice but to study with the jlpt class now.
そうそう。そのクラスに入りたいなら N2 以上のレベルが必要って言われたから私たちがね、それまでに必死で頑張らないと。
Next, let's check line number 7. We have the nouns or the pronouns to talk about the people, right? Like 私、彼、彼女、あなた、君. And when we add たち right after it, it would make that noun, that pronoun plural. For example, 私 means I. When we say 私たち, it would become we. Then we have this word 必死. The first kanji 必 means definitely, must, and the kanji し means death. So 必死 means you do something with extreme effort, like you will die if you don't do it. Next we have naito, and I think that we have already learned about nakereba naranai, like the grammar we use when we want to say we must do something, we need to do something. And to be honest, in Japanese, there are so many different ways when you want to say something. And I know that it is really overwhelming, but we have to live with that because it is the same for any language on earth. When we want to say we must do something, as you can see on the screen, there are a lot of ways to say that. And as a beginner, you don't really need to remember them all, and you just need to remember like 1 or 2 ways to say it, like the very basic nakereba naranai or naito ikenai, and then later you will gradually remember all of the other nakia ikenai, nakia, nakte wa naranai, nakte wa ikenai. Like you can also see the similarity between all of these words, right? Like you have the na, and then we will have the naranai or the ikenai. So as long as you hear that na something ikenai or na something naranai, we definitely know that it is about we have to do something, we must do something.
めっちゃ怖い先生、一人いなかった？文法を教える先生なんだけど。
Moving to number 8, we have some familiar phrases here. めっちゃ, as I said earlier, it means really, super, very. It is めちゃくちゃ in short. Then we have this negative question, いなかった? And then we have this だけど, It is really similar with kedo. And this is 100% used for introduction, like when you want to start a new topic, a new story, a new talk, or you want to say something before you get into the main point. And as I said earlier, there are many different ways to say the same thing in Japanese. And at the beginning, we had ne to say hey, right? So this time we have ano ne, and sometimes they would just say ano sa. Or sometimes they will say ne, but they will say it 2 times, like ne ne.
いたいた、メガネをかけてて、絶対笑わない先生でしょ
遅刻したら入れません。
とか、めっちゃ厳しい感じだった。
Okay, let's move to number 9. This word chikoku is a very familiar word if you go to school or work in Japan. It means being late. Oh, and now we have mecha once again. And this word kanji, so we have the verb kanjiru, which means to feel. And we can totally skip this ru and make it into a noun like feeling. I have a feeling. So when you say something and then you add kanji desu at the end of a sentence, it means it feels like. I have a feeling that.
そう。でも授業の説明はわかりやすかったかも。ちょっと怖いけど、悪い先生ではない気がする。
Moving to number 10, I want to explain about this yasui. So this word is originally wakari yasui, which means easy to understand. This is in the past tense, so it is written as wakari yasukatta. When you want to say it is easy to do something, you add yasui right after a verb. Or when you want to say it's hard to do something, you add nikui. Here are a few examples for you to imagine how we can add it. Of course, we cannot leave the word right as it is, and we have to change it a little bit. After doing a few examples, it is really easy and you will just know how to do it on your own. Next, I want to talk about kamo. Kamo is the kamoshiranai in short, which means maybe. And sometimes in Japanese, when someone say, I think that, maybe, it doesn't really mean that they are not sure about the way they feel. They are just not sure about the way you feel and they don't want to upset you in case your opinion and their opinions are opposite. So Japanese people really love adding these vague impressions into their sentences. It's called cushion kotoba, which means cushion words, like to make the conversation softer and don't upset anyone. And another cushion kotoba that we have here is kigasuru. Kigasuru literally means I think, I feel like. And it is similar to to omou.
わかる。てか、これから半年、頑張って一緒に生き残ろうね。
Next, moving to number 11. First, we have teka. Teka is toyuka or teyuka in short. It literally means anyway, and you use this word when you want to change the topic. Then we have ikinokoru. In Japanese, there are so many words like this that combines 2 words, and it is called fukugo doshi. Ikiru means to live, to be alive, and nokoru means left. So when you are the only one left to be alive, it means to survive.
もうこうなったらみんなで助け合うしかないね。
Okay, this is the last line, number 12. First, we have another fukugo doshi. Tasukeau. Tasukeru means to save. Ao is like mutually, to have an effect to each other. So tasukeau means to save, to help each other. And this verb, ao, appears a lot in the fukugo doshi. For example, hanashiau, niau. Next, let's talk about this minnade. Earlier, I already introduced tomo, which can be used when you want to say many people do the same thing. And this time, it is a little bit similar, but we can use a number of people or a word that refers to a group of people and then you add de. When you use tomo, it is to focus on the fact that they did the same thing. But when you use de, it is to focus on the fact that they do something together. So we can totally say futari de or sannin de, which means 2 or 3 people do something together. Minna is a word that refers to a group of people and we can totally use it in this example too. And we have, once again, shikanai. verb in dictionary form and then we add shikanai, it means we have to do something, there's no choice but to do something, and yes, we can totally translate it as we've got to. And finally, here's a table that summarizes all of the vocabulary and grammar that I explained in this whole video. You can take screenshots if you want. How was the animation? Were the vocabulary and the grammar hard enough for you, or was it too easy? Just please let me know your feedback in the comment section below. I really hope that this video is helpful to you guys somehow. Yeah, okay, so see you guys in the next videos. Bye bye, じゃあまた